Hi, Carolina. Hope you're having a great New Year so far. Um, I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to skip over this one, I think. Not because you shouldn't learn it, but because I remember I went over it a little bit before and trying to think here. I mean, there's nothing too crazy. You just have to move your hands over here. That's kind of it. The one thing I will review actually, though, would be this the first and second endings. Um, So hopefully you can see this, but if not, follow along in your copy. This is page 18, but first and second ending. So let's just read what it says here. Play the first ending and take the repeat, then play the second ending, skipping over the first ending. So what they mean is, in this repeated section with the repeat signs, right? We're gonna play through, right, and then we take the repeat, and then on the second pass we skip over this measure because that was the first ending of this section. The second ending we go here instead. So you'll go measure 6, 7, and then 9. So let's see. Well, it's kind of hard to show. Well, I wonder if I could. Well, anyway, it's gonna be kind of hard to point along and play that. I was gonna try it, but anyway. So you're just gonna go, yeah, straight from 7 to 9 on the second time there. Let's see here. And then you'll have to shift your hand to some new places in, starting measure 10, but that's about it. So that moves us on then to learning more about the C major scale. Now, the C major scale is something that we learned a long time ago, but this has some extra information on it. Namely, that in the key of C, or in any key, the first note is called the tonic. Right? It's the most important note. Or it's sometimes called the home note in these books because it sounds like you're home when you get there. So we have the tonic. We also have the dominant. That's another important note. That's going to be the fifth note of any scale. And the dominant usually sounds unfinished, so it's like the opposite of the tonic. And then we have the leading tone, which is the seventh note of the scale. So if you remember, this is the full C scale, not just the 5-finger version, but the full C scale is going to go all the way up to it's going to go up an octave basically. So C up to C. Now in reality, it only has 7 unique notes, right? Because then you just start over on C again. But so that final note, that leading tone, as it's called, step number 7, is B in this case. And it's called the leading tone because it leads to the tonic. And what I mean by that is if I go like this and I stop there, it sounds like we're not finished, right? We just heard the leading tone. And we really want to hear the tonic again for it to be finished. So you could drive people crazy if you, and that, by the way, that's at the end of the previous song. So if you don't finish that, it drives people insane. They really want to hear that go back to the tonic right there. All right. Let's see here. Tonic, dominant, leading tone. So that covers that. So let's read a little bit more about it. The C major scale is the C 5-finger scale. And so plus 2 added notes, A and B. And every major scale like that is going to use every letter of the musical alphabet once and only once. So there's a C, a D, an E, F, G, an A, and a B. In other scales, that will also be true, although some of them might be sharp or flat, but every letter will be used once. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to say it's safe to skip what's down here and just go straight to here. Now this you probably remember, and maybe you've been playing it this whole time, which is just the fingering that we use for the C scale. So if we're going to play it with the right hand, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to cross your thumb under and continue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the way down, you're going to cross over when you run out of fingers with your third finger. So it should look like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, like that. Meanwhile, the left hand is going to do the exact opposite of that because it's the mirror image of your right hand. So it's going to start by going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then third finger is going to go over. And on the way down, you're going to go, let's say we're starting at middle C and going down. Then you'd go 1, 2, 3, thumb under to G. That helps you make it all the way down. Now what you're supposed to do here is you're supposed to do this with a metronome at 80, 104, and 138. It says optional, but I would like to do this, and I do this with all my students. So you're going to set your metronome to 80 beats per minute and kind of play along, including holding that final C over here for 2 beats like it shows, and then continuing, and only checking these off when you can do it perfectly. And then eventually you can go up to 138. Which sounds fast, but it's not too bad. If you want, though, you could try like an extra one, like a bonus one at 200, and just see how it goes. And it doesn't ask you to do hands together, so really at this point, all we're concerned about is making sure you've mastered it hands separately. Just like that. Okay, let me just see how we're doing on time. Pretty good. So that's going to be goal number 1 for this week, is checking off all 3 of those. And then that brings us to this song called Jumpin' Jazz Cat, which, wouldn't you know it, is going to use the C scale, the full C scale. So it starts with a C scale going down like that. I'm going to start by just playing this so you can hear it. Here we go. Back to the beginning. Now, you may be wondering, why did I go back to the beginning once I finished it? And that's because of this new term here, DC al fine. So, let's review that, or not review, I think this is new. Da capo means the beginning, and is abbreviated DC, so that's more Italian. Fine means the end, so DC al fine means return to the beginning and play to fine. So the DC al fine is down here, so this is what's telling you to go back. And then the fine is here at measure 8, end of measure 8. So you play through the whole thing once until you run into the DC al fine, right? So back to the beginning, and then you end at the end of measure 8 there. And that's the roadmap for this one. So, let me think here. This is another one where mostly there's just a lot of shifting of your hand. Right, I'm sure you've noticed by now that they're not always pointing out when you have to move your hand. They're just assuming you're reading the notes now and not just the finger numbers, of course. So you got to be looking always for whether you're, whether you're having to shift hand positions or not. Sometimes they help you out. Like here it says jump, because you're having to go from the C chord up back to C to walk down the C major scale. Let's see here. Now at measure 9, it looks like a full scale. I mean, and it technically is, but it's not. It's not the C scale the way that you're used to playing. It's starting on G, so don't be fooled by that. It's a full scale, but it's starting on G, not C. But it's not the G major scale. It's the C major scale starting on G. The difference being the G major scale has a black note in it, whereas that is all white notes. And technically there is a name for that. This you absolutely do not need to know this at all, but that's called the G Mixolydian scale. But that's like way way later. Anyway, this song is difficult enough that I would probably just do this one this week, plus the scale with the metronome. So I'll leave it there, but hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one.